Chapter 144, Return. So, Chiang Mai continued, it's not that simple. Such contracts that can directly bind at the soul level and affect the mind are extremely rare. Even the Church of the Ancient Gods doesn't have many of them in their collection. Each one is only used on individuals they deem valuable and with potential. Moreover, the main purpose of developing believers for the Church of the Ancient Gods is to address the issue of insufficient numbers. If they choose to use a believer as an undercover agent within the Night Watchers, it would in a sense be a waste. Furthermore, such contracts are not absolute control. In some cases, the controlled can use hints to alert others. For instance, what Han Xiaoyun said about solving the problem fundamentally falls into this category. Therefore, allowing believers to infiltrate the Night Watchers still carries certain risks. Hearing this, Hong Ying finally sighed in relief. Lin Chia also nodded slightly. Indeed, if analyzed this way, infiltrating the Night Watchers with believers would indeed be more trouble than it's worth. However, if the controlled party holds a high position, it's a different story. This isn't a conspiracy theory from Lin Chia. He just instinctively considers the worst-case scenarios. Being a waste doesn't mean it won't be done, and having few in number doesn't mean there are none at all. It's always good to stay vigilant. Anyway, the first battle of the new year is over. With the believer holding the 13th seat and the Sea Realm strongmen dealt with by Yuan Gang, this should be the end of the top-tier forces behind the assassination. This incident should be considered over. When Chima stretched lazily. By the way, little seven, you should return to the camp tomorrow night, Hong Ying sighed. The next time I see you will be in half a year. By then you'll be a real night watcher. Wu Xiangnan smiled. Lin Chia chuckled. Actually, half a year will pass quickly. Time in the training camp seems to go slowly, but it also seems to pass in the blink of an eye. He still vividly remembers arriving at the training camp gate with his pink suitcase for the first time. By the way, Chiang Mai seemed to remember something and stopped. Tomorrow invite your friends over for dinner at my place. Lin Chia was taken aback. Previously, since both of you were each other's targets, it wasn't convenient to gather. Now that things have settled as the host in Songnan, it's appropriate to have a meal at home. But the office is the Night Watcher's base. It's not easy for outsiders to enter. Wu Xiangnan pondered. Come to my house. Hong Ying patted her chest. My place is big enough. Lin Chia hesitated for a moment then nodded. I'll ask them. The next afternoon, Lin Chia along with Bai Li Pangpang Chao Yuan and a reluctant Xin Qingzhu stood at the villa's door. Bai Li Pangpang looked at the villa and then at Lin Chia surprised. Wow, little seven, your living conditions are pretty good. This is a friend's house. I'm just staying here temporarily, Lin Chia shrugged. Chao Yuan sniffed, swallowed and said, I smell meat. He and Bai Li Pangpang along with Xin Qingzhu had been cooped up in a lover's hotel for the past few days, eating takeout and instant noodles. Combined with the mediocre food in the camp over the past 6 months, he was almost at his limit. Aren't you a monk? No, I just have a heart of Buddha. Xin Qingzhu looked at the villa and frowned. Didn't you say you were inviting friends for dinner? Why am I here too? Lin Chia and the others turned and looked at him with curiosity. Bai Li Pangpang helplessly rubbed his forehead, walked up and patted Xin Qingzhu's shoulder. Being proud has its limits, doesn't it? Inviting you here is actually because we think you've been quite a good tool these past few days. Xin Qingzhu's mouth twitched. He slapped Bai Li Pangpang's hand off his shoulder and said irritably, You fatso, who are you talking to? Bai Li Pangpang rolled up his sleeves, revealing his arms covered with watches. Oh, so you're acting all high and mighty now that I just paid you your wages? Lin Chia sighed helplessly. Are you done making a scene? If you are, let's go inside and eat. Bai Li Pangpang and Xin Qingzhu exchanged glances, huffed and followed Lin Chia into the villa. Let me introduce, this is Captain Chiang Mai. This is Deputy Captain Wu Xiangnan. This is Sister Hong Ying and this house belongs to her. This is Wen Qima. Si Xiaonan. Leng Xian. Lin Chia made the introductions. Each time he introduced someone, Bai Li Pangpang would take off a watch from his arm, smiling as he handed it to the person. Captain Chiang Mai. As expected, you have a distinguished aura. I searched for a long time and only this Rolex barely matches your aura. Please accept it. Ah, Brother Xiangnan, I didn't bring anything good this time. Please be sure to accept this submariner. Wow, Sister Hongying, you're so beautiful. Your wrist looks a bit empty. This Van Cleef and our pals perfectly suits your aura. Watching Bai Li Pangpang crazily giving out watches, Chao Yuan and Shin Qingzhu, who were empty-handed, had twitching eyelids, feeling extremely awkward. When Qimao, holding a Rolex, leaned in towards Lin Chia with a strange expression. Is this the landlord's silly son? Lin Chia hesitated for a moment and said, yes. Oh, I see. He's nice enough, but his brain doesn't seem to be functioning well. With the lively presence of Bai Li Pangpang, the atmosphere of the dinner instantly became vibrant. Chao Yuan transformed into a soulless eating machine, devouring food with his head down. As for Shin Qingzhu, he remained reserved, sitting there. If anyone spoke to him, he would smile and respond briefly. The arrogance he had in the camp had vanished, replaced by the demeanor of a shy young man. After a hearty meal, Lin Chia gathered his luggage, bid farewell to the 136th team, and headed with the other three to the previously agreed-upon pickup location. There, several familiar black buses had been waiting for a while. After handing over the standard-issue Star Blade from the camp, Lin Chia boarded the bus and sat in the last row. His gaze turned to the window, the pitch-black night sky, and the faint outline of the distant city. On the rooftops far away, he seemed to see a figure with a sniper rifle, silently watching Lin Chia depart. Soon, the bus started slowly, gliding through the starlight and night, heading orderly towards the training camp. Chapter 145. Medals. Ding-ling-ling-ling. The sharp and piercing whistle sounded, and Lin Chia quickly opened his eyes, jumped out of bed and started putting on his military uniform. On the other side, Bai Li Pangpang also sat up from bed, eyes still closed, snoring, but his hands continued to dress without interruption. He finished getting dressed, his body swaying slightly as if he might fall asleep again at any moment. Lin Chia grabbed a slipper and threw it at his head, finally waking him up. The two of them pushed the door open and ran quickly towards the training ground in the distance. Yawn. Bai Li Pangpang yawned and remarked, after staying out for so many days, I realize that the bed in the camp is still the most comforting to sleep in. Then he seemed to remember something and said in surprise. Wait, our physical training part was supposed to be over. Why do we still have to get up this early? Lin Chia rolled his eyes. Just because physical training was over doesn't mean the training camp is done. Besides not having to carry weights from morning till night, everything else remains the same as before. Okay. Soon, everyone gathered at the training ground, moving quickly and neatly. This time, not only was Instructor Hong present on the martial arts platform, but all the other instructors were also there. Yuan Gang stood in front of all the instructors, calmly observing Lin Chia and the others below. Unlike before, the instructors were dressed very neatly today, and many of them were wearing medals on their chests, varying in size and color. Among all the instructors, Yuan Gang had the most medals, with 3 deep blue medals that were exquisitely crafted. Upon closer inspection, it seemed as if one could see a magnificent star from them. 7 Night, don't you think? It seems like there are a few fewer instructors today? Bai Li Pangpang scanned the platform and asked in confusion. Lin Chia nodded slightly. 3 were missing. After half a year of interaction, he had an impression of all the instructors. With 3 fewer in the lineup, Lin Chia could easily tell who was missing and even accurately name the absent instructors. Where are they? Not sure, but they probably didn't have a good outcome. He still clearly remembered the missiles that fell from the sky when transporting the new recruits out of the camp. Given the precision with which they targeted their whereabouts, he didn't believe there were no traitors within the camp. If all went as expected, the missing 3 instructors were likely the camp's traitors. And traitors didn't have a good fate. Yuan Gang didn't seem to explain the missing instructors. He scanned everyone and spoke in a deep voice. Today's morning training is cancelled. Hearing this, everyone below was slightly taken aback, and Yuan Gang's next statement made their breaths come heavier. I've gathered you here today primarily for one thing, to award medals to some of you. Medals? They were still new recruits and hadn't even left the training camp yet, and some were already receiving honors? At this moment, some of the new recruits had already thought of something and turned their eyes to Lin Chia. Those who had been in the same vehicle with Lin Chia when leaving the camp had seen the black light that blocked all the shrapnel. Even if some didn't understand what happened at the time, They had guessed the general idea later. Lin Chia then remembered that during his time at Hong Jing's house, Instructor Hong had mentioned that he might be awarded a medal this time. Since some of you might not be clear about how the Night Watcher's achievements are divided, let me give you a brief introduction. The Night Watcher's achievements are different from those of regular military forces. There are 4 types of medals in order of ease of acquisition: the Ember Medal, the Radiance Medal, the Star Medal, and the Sea of Stars Medal. Yuan Gang casually took off a light red badge from his chest, which was the Ember Medal, the easiest to obtain. It was usually awarded for completing important mysterious extermination missions or protecting the lives of a large number of people. He put the Ember Medal back on his chest and took off a light blue medal. This is the Radiance Medal. Compared to the Ember Medal, it is much harder to obtain, usually awarded for killing extremely high-risk mysterious entities or quelling major disasters. Finally, he took off the most exquisite deep blue medal. Under the sunlight, the crystal-clear surface of the medal emitted a faint starry light. This is the Star Medal. It is awarded only for killing immeasurable-level mysterious entities or quelling major events that could cause social turmoil. It is very rare, with less than 1% of people in the entire Night Watcher organization receiving this medal. Yuan Gang solemnly put the Star Medal back on his chest and continued. As for the Sea of Stars Medal, it is the highest honor that can be awarded in the Night Watchers. There are fewer than 10 people in the entire Daxia who hold this medal, and even the Night Watcher's high-ranking officials cannot provide a specific standard for how it is awarded. Report. Speak. Instructor, if there's no specific standard, how is it determined who can receive this medal? When everyone believes that you should receive it, it will naturally be awarded to you, Yuan Gang replied calmly. If you want a standard, the only person who has received the Sea of Stars medal in the past 5 years is Wang Mian from the masked team. 5 years ago, when the Divine Sequence 040's cheetah snake landed on the East Sea, Wang Mian used his own lifespan to travel through time and return to an hour before the cheetah snake's landing. He ordered the evacuation of several coastal areas and led the masked team to fight the cheetah snake for half an hour until a human pinnacle arrived, saving tens of thousands of people. If any of you believe that your contributions are greater than his, you can naturally apply for the Sea of Stars medal. Everyone below fell silent. Lin Chia was also secretly astonished. He hadn't expected such a mythological event to have happened 5 years ago. He vaguely remembered seeing news about a massive tsunami in the East Sea 5 years ago, but he didn't realize the truth behind it. He was even more surprised that the mild-mannered and taciturn man had accomplished such a great feat. Next, I will announce the first person to receive a medal. Yuan Gang took a small black box from one of the instructors behind him, looked at the crowd and spoke calmly. Lin Chia, during the missile attack, decisively took action to save more than 50 new recruits, preserving the future of the Night Watchers. Afterward, you severely injured the cult of the ancient god Snake Woman, and fought alongside Team 136 to kill the believer, 13th seat Han Xiaoyan. Hereby, you are awarded the Star Medal. Chapter 146. Is your knowledge extensive? Order of the Stars? Hearing these 4 words, not only many recruits under the stage, but also most of the instructors on the stage were really surprised. This is second only to the honor of the Shanghai Medal. Even Yuan Gang, the head of the training camp, are only 3 Lin 7 knights. This has not yet come out of the training camp of the new, unexpectedly got a Star Medal? But if you think about it, it doesn't seem incomprehensible. If nothing else, just in the bus for the whole car of new recruits to carry the missile debris this hand, it has been doomed to Lin 7 Knights 1. The medal level is not too low. You know, more than 200 new recruits in this training camp, but from the whole summer of the Night's Watch Reserve, is the future of the country's backbone. Once these recruits have an accident, the change of the Night's Watch will appear fault, then the National Guard's strength will weaken. In recent years, the mystery around the country has become more and more powerful. If the power of the Night Watch appears fault, the harm caused is not only a city so simple, it will be a big crisis sweeping the whole country. From this point of view alone, Lin Chia's actions satisfied the condition of quelling large-scale events that could cause social unrest. As for the serious injury of Snake Woman, and the cooperation to kill Han Xiaoyan, it seems to be a big deal, but from the national point of view it is small. After all, a Medusa agent in the pond and a believer in the sea cannot set off any big waves. There is another point that very few people can understand. Since Lin Chia had positive contact with the people of the Church of Ancient God this time, and seriously injured Snake Woman, it means that he refused the invitation of the Church of Ancient God and firmly stood on the side of the Night Watch. A two-god agent so firmly clear their own position in the eyes of the Watchman high level, do not give some reward cannot be said to be justified. What are the rewards? Send some forbidden money? Or promise a bright future? Too earthy, too vulgar. By chance, there is also a Lin 7 Knights merit application report handed up. They will naturally try their best to make this gift more beautiful. Driven by various factors, this star medal of Lin Chia is reasonable and can no longer be reasonable. Lin Chia, come up and make medals. Yuan Gang's voice sounded, just let Lin 7 Knights reprieve God, walked quickly on the martial arts platform. Yuan Gang went to the side of Lin Chia, slowly opened the hand of the small black box. In the dark silk concave, a dark blue bright metal dazzling crystal, as if embedded in a shining star. Yuan Gang solemnly will star metal picked up, hanging in Lin 7 Knights' chest. Lin 7 Knights take a deep breath, toward Yuan Gang respect a standard military salute. In the envious eyes of all, Lin 7 Knights slowly walked down the stairs and returned to the team. Bailey Fat gulped and gave Lin 7 Knights a thumbs up. 7 Knights, awesome. After 7 Knights and Lin, the name of the second decorated person was announced by Yuan Gang, beyond all expectations. Xin Qingzhu, timely elimination of the devastating eye caused by the Great Wind disaster, so that half the city was saved from being destroyed by the wind disaster, awarded the Starlight Medal. I'll go. Drago? Bailey Fat wide eyes. Everyone looked at Xin Qingzhu. Xin Qingzhu himself is a face of Meng Force. He looked at Yuan Gang on the stage. A pair of you are afraid not to tease me expression. After confirming Yuan Gang is not joking, Xin Qingzhu hard scalp, step by step on the stage. He himself did not expect that a snap of his fingers inexplicably saved half of Tsongnan. Meng forced to get the merit, Meng forced to walk down the steps, Meng forced back to the team. Xin Qingzhu think the world is crazy. Wait until Yuan Gang ordered to dissolve, they rushed to eat. Deng Wei Li Jiao Liliang 3 followers immediately around Xin Qingzhu's side, eyes full of worship. Brother Xin, when did you save Tsongnan City? Yeah, Brother Xin, aren't you out making money? Why did you get a medal? Xin brother, in the end is my Xin brother, 2 ox. Surrounded in the triple room, Xin Qingzhu coughed softly and raised his head proudly. Oh no, look at you guys. You're a starlight, right? In the future I will get a better medal than this. Xin Ge mighty. Xin Ge ox force. Bailey Pang saw this scene, grinned. Drago started again. No, I need to put a dent in his swagger. After saying that, Bailey Pang took a deep breath and shouted at the top of his voice. 7 Knights strongest. 7 Knights is the most handsome. 7 Knights cow force. Hearing these words, several people on the opposite side turned their heads and looked at the 7 Knights of Lin with poor complexion. Lin 7 Knights rolled his eyes, a slap on the back of the head of Bailey Fat. Are you a child? Got to go. Got to eat. After the physical training, the new recruits training program becomes more colorful. Tactical instruction, simulation exercises, forbidden market principles, combat practices, and even a complete set of world myths, as well as some of the most dangerous forbidden markets that have appeared today. If the previous 6 months of physical training was completely spent outside, then now their training program, 80% of the need to sit in the classroom to learn theoretical knowledge. This makes Lin Chia have a feeling of going to college. Or rather, in military school. For the vast majority of people, compared with the old days of being tired and dizzy on the training field, now is simply heaven, but there are still a small number of people, every cell of their body is rejecting theoretical learning. What is the nature of psychic force? On the platform, an instructor with black-rimmed glasses slowly opened his mouth. His eyes swept across the classroom and finally fell on someone in the last row. Xin Qingzhu. Lying on the table to sleep, Xin Qingzhu faint raised his head, sleepily looked at Gu instructor. What is the nature of the mind? I won't. Go out and run 10 laps. All right. Xin Qingzhu liked to come to life. A gust of wind out of the classroom, the spirit began to run laps on the playground. Gu instructor sighed, began to choose the target again and finally fell on the Lin 7 Knights. Lin 7 Knights, you know? The essence of psychic force is the supernatural force generated by conscious activity under certain circumstances. Lin 7 Knights stood up and said calmly. Instructor Gu nodded his head and his eyes showed a wave of appreciation. Yes, I hope everyone is clear that the importance of theory in the process of eliminating mysteries is no less than actual combat. We must always uphold the posture of learners, to seek to study after continuous thinking and dialectical, in order to realize the truth of the world. Hearing this sentence, Lin Seven Knight's brain flash, seems to think of something. Gu instructor also intend to say just found Lin Seven Knights has not sat down. Why are you still standing there? Lin Seven Knights meditate for a moment. Gu instructor, your knowledge is very profound? The instructor smiled and opened his mouth proudly. I am a professor at Huaqing University. What do you think? So, drill sergeant, can I ask you a question? You ask. Gu instructor pushed glasses. You think the world we're in right now, is it real? Chapter 147. The Circus Trigger. Hearing this question, Gu instructor froze. For fish that live in the deep sea. 4 two-dimensional creatures. So what makes us so sure that this part of the world we're in is real? What is true reality? What is the real world? Beyond this world, what is it? What are we under the observation of higher dimensional beings? Lin Seven Knights imitate Merlin's tone, one after another throughout a series of questions. When he said the last word, the whole classroom completely into a dead silence. Lin Chia looked into the eyes of Gu instructor and said word by word. Have you ever thought about, is it possible that we were created by a higher dimensional being? Gu instructor stayed in place. After a while he spoke with some uncertainty. Yes, no? Why? Lin Chia's eyes appear a touch of joy. Do you have any evidence can overturn my just theory? Proof that the world is real? Gu instructor speechless. Lin Seven Knights never forget his mental hospital is still keeping a madman all day long nagging about the world is false. Merlin has been released for some time, but let Lin Seven Knights how to try, cannot promote his treatment progress. So far the healing progress of Merlin's head is still stuck at 0%. Although he is still a normal person when he is not talking about the reality of the world as long as he is quiet, it seems that he always unconsciously begins to study the reality of the world. Studying. He was transformed into a pink starfish, running everywhere with a fishing net, Li Yifei could not catch. In comparison, Nix, who has been quietly sitting in the sun in the yard and at most chanting a few children from time to time, is simply a 3 good student among the 3 good students. Put aside the trouble raising such a legendary magician but cannot extract his power, can only look at. This let Lin Seven Knights' heart anxious. With his own strength, he is certainly unable to make any useful treatment, can only hope that the outside world, since the instructor is so knowledgeable, should be able to overturn Merlin's theory? Once you take that first step, the rest is easy. Gu instructor lowered his head, frowning, seems to be seriously thinking about the problem of Lin Seven Knights, his eyes from calm to surprise to shock to confusion. After thinking about it for about 5 minutes, Gu instructor raised his head and took a deep breath. Lin Chia, your question. Good, but I can't give you an answer right now. You wait until I go back and do some research. I'll give you an answer then. Then he stressed again, seeking and dialectic is what every scholar should do. I am no exception. You rest assured I will not avoid this question. Give me some time, I will definitely give you an answer. Gu instructor's eyes are full of determination. Lin Seven Knights nodded, then sat back on the position. The rest of the theoretical course is still going on as usual, but some sensitive people can already detect that today's Gu instructor seems a little absent-minded. As soon as the class was over, Gu instructor packed up his things and hurried out of the classroom, walking while looking down at what to think. Gu class over? In the corridor, Hong instructor walked towards him, smiled and reached out to say hello to him. Gu instructor did not look at Hong instructor at a glance, perfunctory back a sentence, then hurried through. Hong instructor some inexplicable standing in place, looking at the back of Gu instructor left, scratching his head. Gu, what's going on? Han Li instructors just come, see this scene, surprised to ask. Instructor Hong shook his head. I don't know, I felt like I was possessed. Forget it. Whatever. The training ground. Forbidden market use training. In the process of using the forbidden ruins, the most important evaluation indicators can be divided into 3 categories. The first category is the power and destruction of the forbidden market, which mainly depends on the forbidden market itself and is an established factor that cannot be influenced by human beings. The second category is whether in the process of using the forbidden market people and the forbidden market itself are compatible, whether you really understand your forbidden market and whether you know how to use it in order to give full play to its power, which can only be done by yourself for a long time. The third category is the duration and coverage of the forbidden market, which, to put it bluntly, is actually one thing: precise control of the mind. That's the goal of this exercise. On the stage, an instructor opened two large cartons behind him and took out a silver watch. This device is called ACE, sometimes we will affectionately call it the acrobatic detonator. Put it on the wrist, will continue to output a mental current for 24 hours. This mental current will not be fatal but will stimulate your muscles, let you do some strange actions. Your task is to use your mental forces 24 hours a day to counter this mental current, to maintain a balance between the mental forces and the current. Once the mental output is not enough, the current will flow through your body, but if the mental output is too strong, ACE will respond with stress and let more current flow through your body. Moreover, the size of its output current changes irregularly, which means that you must always follow the current changes to output different amounts of mental force. Not more, not less. Even if it is sleeping and eating, it must be done, otherwise. A smile appeared on the instructor's lips. In short, you must exercise mind control into an instinct, and ACE will be with you forever. Until the end of training camp. Don't try to take it off, it could have serious consequences. Next, buy the cue one by one to get the watch. In the eyes of the new recruits, everyone took the stage to lead a silver watch and then began to tinker. This watch is ugly. It's nothing compared to a Rolex. Bailey, fat some disgust, looked at the watch in his hands, sighed. Lin Chia. At this time, Chow Yuan has silently put the watch on the hand. Swish. When the watch closed the moment, Chow Yuan's body visible to the naked eye, and then, with a sharp backflip and a standard backflip, Lin 7 Knights and 100 fat open mouth. Unbelievable. Looking at Chow Yuan. Chow Yuan stood still, looked down at the wrist strap, and after a moment of silence, slowly opened his mouth. Don't look at me. You do it. You do it too. Hey, you think too much. Bailey, fat cheap smile, slowly put the watch on the hand while saying, with the small lord, my body, let alone backflip, even on the ground to play a role, have to struggle for a long time. How can I? Whoosh. 100 fat words did not fall. Fat body suddenly jumped from the ground, first in the air to a 720-degree free turn, and then firmly fell on the ground, backhand a Thomas roundabout, followed by very agile skills. The ground began to backflip. 1 2 3 4. In the eyes of the public, Bailey's fat body gradually turned away. Help me. 7 Knights to save me. Lin 7 Knights silently looked at one side of the backflip, while moving to the canteen at a strange speed. 100ly fat fell into meditation. Chapter 148. Feed me. Heya. Ololola. Aya. Strange sounds came from the whole training ground. Wearing the watch after the people seemed to incarnate as acrobats at the same time, performing on the empty field. Front somersault, back somersault, one-hand handstand, flip hook, Thomas spin, goat prant. Good training camp turned into a big circus. Lin Kayap mouth slightly twitched after a moment of hesitation, will also wear his watch slowly. The moment the watch was closed, a strong current suddenly surged through Lin Chia's body. Caught off guard, the muscles of the whole body unconsciously contracted up. So Lin 7 Knights fierce to a forward somersault. When the second front flip was about to turn up again, Lin Chia injected his own spiritual force into it, barely balanced with the current, and blocked the generation of the current in time and stood firmly in place. But as the instructor said, the size of this current is changing from time to time. Lin Chia must always be distracted to pay attention to its changes, and at the same time inject the corresponding mental force. It's harder than you thought. Lin Chia sighed. The instructor on the stage looked down at the chaotic scene. The corners of his mouth twitched wildly, and seemed to be trying to hold in a laugh, and then nodded and calmly commented. There's a little more somersaults this year than usual. In the entire training camp of more than 200 recruits, there are very few people like Lin Chia and Chow Yuan who turn a somersault and stop, at most 20, and half of the rest of the group of people have even turned a dozen somersault before they grasp the trick and gasp for air. The other half is still turning. It has to be said that the scene of nearly 100 new recruits wearing military uniforms and uniform backflips on the training ground is really quite spectacular. The instructor seemed to be really unable to bear it, waved and dismissed. Let's go eat. In fact, now the new recruits and disbanded, there is no difference. Under the action of the acrobatic detonator, the queue has long disappeared, and now the most powerful one has arrived at the door of the canteen. Those who have calmed down the recruits, while biting their teeth, concentrate on the injection of mental energy, while slowly moving towards the direction of the canteen. That careful appearance like everyone's collective long hemorrhoids. However, there are also some people in order to dry rice, simply directly free themselves at a very fast speed directly to the canteen all the way over. Soon after, Lin Chia and Chao Yuan stood in front of the table. Why aren't you eating? Lin 7 Nights into the mouth with a piece of meat. Some doubts looked at the side of the pale Bailey Fat, not hungry? I'm hungry. Bailey Pang stared at the food on the table and swallowed, but I was afraid I couldn't control it. As if he could not bear the temptation of food, he reached out his hand like lightning, picked up a piece of meat and shoved it into his mouth. Swish. The meat in his hand fell to the ground with a splat as he did a backflip. Bailey Pang. $. Fortunately, there are no chairs at the table of the recruits and everyone is standing here to eat, otherwise such a flip would have to directly flip the whole table. Whiff of you don't think the cafeteria was designed for now, do you? Is it hard? I think it's okay, huh? Chao Yuan easily picked up a piece of meat, put it in the mouth to chew up and from time to time it sucks 2 mouths while today's meat is really fragrant. Bailey Fat is aggrieved Baba standing there, looking at Lin 7 Nights' eyes as if with some tears. Hey. He said with a sad face. Lin Chia helplessly sighed, bent down to pick up the piece of meat on the ground, stuffed into Bailey Fat mouth. Lin 7 Nights as if incarnated as 100 Li Pang kind mother strict father, hand to hand feed him to eat, until the 100 Li Pang eat happy, but also from time to time to 2 backflips, to help Lin 7 Nights. Lin Chia. No comparison, no harm. As it turns out, this is not only Lin 7 Nights of their table. Shin Qingzhu stood at the table, holding his forehead with one hand, helplessly looking at the 3 followers of Deng Wei Li Jia Li Liang who kept somersaulting in front of him and sighed faintly. Brother Shin hungry. Brother Shin. I want to eat. Well Brother Shin. Why don't you feed us? Shin Qingzhu took a deep breath, picked up the dishes on the table and walked toward the 3 while the fierce mouth. All motherfuckers keep your heads down. One by one. Knock. Come. The door of the chief instructor's office was slowly opened. Yuan Gang raised his head and saw the boy who walked into the house, frowning slightly. Was it you? Lin 7 Nights walked to the desk, a military salute. Report. There's something I want to discuss with you. Yuan Gang nodded slightly, put away the pieces on the table, sit down and say. Lin 7 Nights sat on the chair opposite Yuan Gang. After a moment of hesitation, took out a silver nameplate from the pocket placed on the table. Yuan Gang saw this nameplate, eyes slightly narrowed. What's banned? Right. Lin 7 Nights nodded. This is the holiday I play with a group of believers. Get the spoils seems to have a kind of called blood boiling forbidden ruins. The blood boils of sequence 209. Yuan Gang nodded, looked at Lin Chia, seems to understand his purpose. You want to turn this thing over? If you hand it in, what do I get? Lin 7 Night carefully asked. The Night Watchman's reserve of forbidden objects is not much, although this blood boiling is not a high-risk forbidden market, but in some specific circumstances, it can also play a good role, should be able to exchange for some merit or cash. What you want specifically depends on you. In cash? How many? At market price maybe 2 million. Lin Chia gasped for a breath. This thing is taken from a scorpion corpse. To tell the truth, Lin 7 Nights is not very like this forbidden thing. The actual combat effect is not big, so have been thinking of it to dispose of. But when it comes to dealing with prohibited goods, Lin Chia does not know how to judge the value of prohibited goods, and does not know where to sell them. Even if he finds a place similar to the black market for prohibited goods, he does not have so much time to find the right buyer. After a lot of thought, I still think that directly to the Night's Watch is the most reliable, safe and can get immediate profits. Lin Chia thought for a moment and slowly opened his mouth. I choose to hand over this forbidden item, and the terms of exchange. 2 million in cash will do. But there's some news I'd like to know. What kind of news? News about Qin Mai and Wu Xiangnan. Lin Chia calmly said, I want to know their body. Whatever happened? Chapter 149. The Blue Rain. Yuan Gang heard Lin 7 Nights' requirements, a little lung, then the eyes emerged a touch of appreciation. Some things have already happened, cannot be changed even if you know it cannot change anything. I know. Lin 7 Nights' calm nod. Before he did not feel that the captain and Wu Xiangnan have anything strange, but after this game against Han Xiaoyan he more and more think that these two people are unusual. Chen Mai and Han Xiaoyan dialogue Lin 7 Nights did not hear all clear, But Beijing City missing black impermanent and 10 years of these keywords he still heard, it can be seen that Chen Mai's identity is absolutely unusual. And the 2 scars on Wu Xiangnan's hands also made him wonder what left the injury. Even the dead cannot be eliminated? And judging from the few words left by Chen Mai, Wu Xiangnan's past seems to be very glorious. Not only he, the others of the 136 team, seem to know nothing about the past of these 2 people. Lin Chia wants to know more about them, not only to eliminate the doubts of the heart, more importantly, is hoping to help them in the future. Captain and Wu Xiangnan, to his good, he has always been in mind. The most important thing is that Lin Seven Knight's intuition told him that the story behind Chen Mai is absolutely not simple. It is likely to involve the core secrets of the Night Watch. If so, then the peace now? Maybe only temporarily. Only by removing the fog behind him can we prepare for the future. Well, the 2 of them are no secrets, and some of the more senior watchmen know something, and there is no harm in telling you. Yuan Gang pondered for a moment as if thinking about where to start. Let's talk about Wu Xiangnan first. This guy is involved in a few things. It is easier to say. You know the Blue Rain Special Squad? Blue Rain? Lin Seven Knights shook his head. Do not know. Then I should have told you that 5 years ago the Qi snake invaded the East China Sea. That a catastrophe. Remember? 5 years ago, after the mask team and Qi Tai snake tangle, a human sealing arrived in time, along with him and a special team, also known as Blue Rain. At that time, Big Summer had a total of 5 special teams and Blue Rain was its 5th, that is, 005. Wu Xiangnan is one of them. Lin Seven Knights surprised to open his mouth. He used to be a special team member? Yes, the Blue Rain team at that time was very strong, and at that time the mask was just a team that had just been formed for a short time, and the fighting force was actually less than the Blue Rain. And then the Blue Rain arrived and took over the battle directly from the mask hand. Under the joint attack of the human sealing and the Blue Rain team, they successfully seriously injured the Qi snake. And later the Qi snake was wounded and fled. The human sealing was ordered to stay on the coastline, and the Blue Rain team was responsible for pursuing into the fog. Into the mist? Isn't the mist lethal? Lin Seven Knights doubt asked. That's true, but there are special forbidden objects that give people the ability to walk in the mist for a short time, and when you touch that level you'll know. Yuan Gang continued. Originally, the order issued by the Night Watch Senior is to try to kill Qi Snake, if not, immediately retreat, and the forbidden thing can only ensure that they all walk in the fog for 24 hours. Everyone thinks they can come back. But 24 hours later they lost contact. It wasn't until about 80 hours later that Wu Xiangnan emerged from the fog alone on a raft, unconscious when our men found him. He was in a coma for about a whole day before he woke up, and it seemed that he had been severely hit and the whole person was depressed, and later our people and he communicated that the Blue Rain team, it's all gone. Hearing this, Lin Seven Knights frowned tightly. Yuan Gang drank tea and continued to say. According to him, they were all the way after Qi Snake, could not catch up, was ready to come back, but seemed to lose their way in the fog into a strange world. They suspected that the place, it's Takatenhara. Takamahara? Lin was stunned for 7 nights. If he remembered correctly, the time God had given the king the task of finding the high heaven and retrieving something from it. Yes, and the reason why the Blue Rain team was destroyed is because they met a god who was suspected to be Sisanu in the high sky plains. After fighting with the Kita snake and running in the fog for most of the day, the members of the Blue Rain team were basically exhausted, but they met Sisanu there. Finally, the Blue Rain team. All hands dead. And Wu Xiangnan, because of the special ban market, after the battle was killed 3 times in a row, delayed for an hour to be fully reborn, and when he woke up, only the bodies of his comrades were left around. It was also in that battle that his hand was injured by the sky cluster cloud sword of Sisanu, and he could no longer hold the sword. Even if it was reborn, it could not be eliminated, and from then on, the undead sword of the Blue Rain team could only be completely reduced to a disabled person. Later, on his way to escape from the high sky, he was attacked many times, died 4 times, and was killed 3 times by the mist in the mist, and only then returned alive to the territory of Bactria. Lin Seven Knights has been completely stunned. He did not expect behind Wu Xiangnan actually have such an experience. Because the Blue Rain team finally survived only 1 member, and this member has been physically and psychologically disabled. Finally, the Night's Watch senior management cancelled the name Blue Rain, and since then the 5 special teams in Bactria have become 4 teams. And Wu Xiangnan, also about half a year after the end of the matter, disappeared from the hospital. What happened later, How did he come to Tsongnan, became the deputy captain of the 136th team? I don't know. Yuan Gang sighed. He was also a poor man. Lin Chia bowed his head. The mind again appeared Wu Xiangnan hands of the two red scars, frowning slightly. That is to say, the reason why Wu Xiangnan became a disabled person is because of the sword wound left by the Tiansong cloud sword. Since even rebirth cannot remove it, what method should be used to cure it? Lin's 7 knights believe that when Wu Xiangnan was just rescued, the watchman's senior level must have thought of all the ways. Even so, they still did not cure this injury. Do you have to go to Takatenher yourself, tie up Susanu, and ask him if he can do anything? This is outrageous. Since people can't solve it, maybe the gods in the mental hospital, they'll find a way? Chapter 150 Shiva. This is for Chinmai. Yuan Gang's knuckles gently tapping the desktop. To tell the truth, what happened that year I am not clear. About 12 years ago, after Chinmai came out of the new boot camp, he and another genius were called into the Night Watch small team in Shanghai City. Their two people's forbidden market sequence is too rare and complement each other when there were other special teams trying to recruit them, but the commander-in-chief tried to beat everyone and crammed into the Shanghai City team. Chinmai's forbidden market is the black impermanent of 037, and another person, that is Xiaopinga, the current captain of the Shangjing City squad. The forbidden market sequence is the white impermanent of 038, and because of the reason for the forbidden market, they are also known by outsiders as the black and white impermanent of Shangjing City. Black impermanence and white impermanence? Lin Chia's eyes emerged with a touch of doubt. I have been curious, who gave the name of this forbidden market? And the two have a relationship with the black and white impermanence of the Big Summer myth? I don't know, the origin of these two forbidden ruins is too long ago, and the relevant files involved are top secret of the Night's Watch, and I can't see them with my authority. Yuan Gang shook his head and continued. Their team in Shanghai City for 2 years, and then suddenly one day Chinmai seems to have received a special instruction, the next day disappeared from Shanghai City. At that time I had not yet joined the Night Watchmen of Shangjing City, and it is said that they approached the commander-in-chief that day to ask him what had happened, but the commander-in-chief only replied that it was a matter of secret and inconvenient to disclose and turned them away. At that time, everyone was still busy with the so-called destruction of the world catastrophe, and after a long time, they vacated their hands to investigate the whereabouts of Chinmai and found that he came to the city of Tsongnan to become a captain. I heard Xiaopinga say that he had come to Tsongnan several times before to let Chinmai go back, but he refused. After several times, Xiaopinga also completely died of this heart, and finally returned to Shanghai City, step by step to become the captain of Shanghai City. After listening to Yuan Gang's description, Lin Chia frowns. Yuan Gang knows the news is really not much. The real key part is missing, resulting in the whole event now revealed a mysterious breath. What was that apocalyptic thing you were talking about? Lin 7 Nights Doubt asked. It's a forbidden thing, the scariest forbidden thing ever. Yuan Gang takes a deep breath, and its name is called Shiva resentment. Shiva, one of the 3 gods of Hindu mythology, the god of destruction. It is true that the body of Shiva is an ancient scroll containing the apocalyptic horror of sequence 008, and as soon as a name is written in the blank of the scroll, the very concept to which it refers is directly destroyed. Lin's 7 Nights, similar to the Death Note? The difference is too far. Yuan Gang shook his head. The Death Note can only kill the person whose name is written up, and the Shiva resentment, the destruction can not only be people. For example, on the surface of the parchment, write the word Bactria. Lin 7 Nights seems to think of something, violently opened his eyes, that it would, directly from a conceptual point of view, wipe out the entire Bactria, which is destroy this country. Yuan Gang's voice is deep. How could such an outrageous forbidden thing exist? Lin 7 Nights gasp a breath, cannot help but say, the top 10 forbidden markets can have such perverted power? This is way beyond the forbidden market, isn't it? Of course, that's just theory. Yuan Gang paused and continued to say that although this forbidden thing is powerful, but if you want to stimulate it, the mental force consumed is extremely huge. Even if it is just to write a name on it, like a death note to erase the life of an ordinary person, it will directly empty a Sichuan strong, let alone achieve the outrageous level of destroying the country. In this case, its threat does not seem to be very big. Why is it called the destruction of the world? Yuan Gang slowly closed his eyes. Humans can't do it doesn't mean the gods can't do it. If the divine power is injected into this forbidden thing, although it may not be able to destroy a country, it is still easy to destroy a city. After the emergence of Shiva resentment, there were several evil gods wandering in the mist who coveted its existence, and in order to snatch this scroll, a god war was even triggered 10 years ago. A war of gods. Lin Seven Nights' wide eyes. In that year, 5 human sealings gathered at the border of Bactria and Loki, the trick god of northern Europe, and Gaia, the mother of the earth of Greece, fought a vicious war, breaking the sky and the earth. And then what? What then? And then I don't know. Yuan Gang shrugged his shoulders, very helpless, said, I am also just a deputy captain of the night watch team in Beijing, not a particularly high-level figure. This obviously will be included in the confidential things. How can I know? Anyway, after that, there was never any mention of Shiva at the top of the Night's Watch. All right. Lin Seven Nights' helpless sigh. He is hearing the key place. The story suddenly disappeared like a breath out of breath, uncomfortable. I have told you everything about the 2 people and even sent you a Shiva complaint story. The $2 million will be able to hit your bank card in 2 days, and I will collect this forbidden thing and mail it to the Night's Watch headquarters for you tomorrow. Yuan Gang hand will blood boiling, put away, slowly said. Lin Seven Nights looked at the time, also stood up toward Yuan Gang, a military salute, and then turned to leave. Yuan Gang sitting in the office chair, looking at the back of Lin Seven Nights leave, a long sigh. At this time, a drill sergeant's home. Books of heavy ancient books and theories were scattered on the ground, dense, completely submerged the original dark brown floor between the stacks of books. Gu instructor bowed his head and carefully studied the books at hand, sometimes meditating, sometimes frowning. The reality of the world. Is that true? It's fake. That's not true. That's not right. Gu instructor frowned down the hand of the book, rubbing the sore lumbar spine. Eyes have been all over the red blood. The whole person looks haggard. You know what? Just get some sleep. He looked at the time and muttered. Gu instructor slowly stood up from the ground, climbed to the bed, took a long breath, closed his eyes. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Half a minute later. He woke up suddenly and sat up in bed, scratching his hair with his hands. Aya. Goddammit. Is this world real? Did you now? Isn't it? Aya. Chapter 151. Instructor Gu's illness. Free shooting range. Fat, wearing explosion-proof glasses and earmuffs, raised his pistol, his eyes narrowed slightly, a rare expression of seriousness on his not very serious face, and he pulled the trigger repeatedly. Bang bang bang. 3 shots came out in succession. The bullet almost simultaneously hit the bullseye 200 meters away, 100ly chubby mouth slightly raised. 10 rings, 10 rings, 10 rings. From the electronic sound range, Bailey Big Fat blew the muzzle of the gun very smelly, and then removed the earmuffs and stretched. Shooting practice? But that's all. He sat down on a chair beside him, took a few gulps of water into his mouth and crossed his legs leisurely. After 2 months of running in, he has begun to get used to the mental current brought by the watch, at least not for no reason to start backflips. But even so, at the beginning of that period of time will torture him not light. The whole person has lost half a circle. Who can stand an uncontrollable backflip just before they fall asleep. The most critical thing is that his backflip affects not only himself, but also the Lin Seven Nights sleeping next to him will be suddenly awakened by the clang. That was the second time Lin Seven Nights to Bailey Fat up to kill Hart. Now is the free shooting time, free shooting training without the supervision of instructors, purely to let the recruits familiar with the use of guns, after all, have been taught to teach. Now they need a lot of practice, also can be considered as the free activity time after the theory class. And shooting as a strong point of Bailey Pang Pang. This is naturally his most leisurely and comfortable training. By the way, it seems that I haven't seen Instructor Gu for 2 months. Where'd he go? 100 Fat seems to think of what, confused asked. Next door Chow Yuan looked at the target in the distance as if unheard, pulled the trigger one after another. Bang bang bang. 10 rings, 9 rings, 9 rings. He sighed, put the pistol down, shook his head. I don't know. Bailey Pang Pang tilted his head and thought as if he understood what. Did he go back home to get married? I think he was already married. Second marriage. Chow Yuan, too lazy to pay attention to 100ly chubby imagination, silently rolled his eyes. Just then 3 more shots rang out. Bang bang bang. Miss. 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 Lin Chia. He casually put down the gun, walked back to the chair and sat down, looking at the range of eyes full of resentment. Hey, 7 Nights, you got to work on that shot because out of 200 recruits not many of them miss 3 times in a row. Bailey chubby smiley said and then confidently patted his chest. Well, I say you take me as your teacher and I'll teach you a little of my marksmanship. Just you? Lin Seven Knights glanced at him, quiet opening when the close combat training, you come to be my opponent. Dude, I was wrong. I was really wrong. 100 miles fat tiger body shock. Lin Seven Knights unhurriedly drank water, frowning slightly however, Gu instructor missing for 2 months this matter really strange. Since 2 months ago Lin Seven Knights to Gu instructor through that problem. A few days Gu instructor is missing, even his class or other instructors temporarily replaced. Originally Lin Seven Knights also expected him to give himself an answer, the result is 2 months. Lin Seven Knights. At this time a familiar voice came from a distance. Lin Chia turned to look and found that it was the Hong instructor waving to him. After hesitating for a moment Lin Chia walked out quickly. Instructor Hong, what can I do for you? 2 people went to the shooting site, Lin Seven Knights doubt asked. Instructor Hong first looked him up and down for a long time and then said, what have you done yourself? Didn't you count it in your mind? Lin Seven Knights, what did I do? Instructor Hong sighed a long sigh. What the hell kind of problem you gave to the other instructor Gu, made the other person insane? Right now he's still being treated in a mental hospital. Lin Seven Knight mouth more and more open, eyes full of shock. What the hell? Instructor Gu, are you insane? Because of your own writing? What exactly are his symptoms? He was in a trance. Hong instructor's face appeared a touch of bitterness. A while ago, staring at the wall every day from time to time to recite what is true, false, the world. Who are we? It cannot be proved that, and then all of a sudden he starts dancing around and talking about finding the real world. However, after 2 months of treatment the condition has improved, has been able to initially normal life. Lin Seven Knights people silly. Isn't that Merlin all over again? It seems not strange to think about it carefully. Gu instructor and Merlin are full of curiosity about the world. And it seems that they like to drill the horns after being tortured for a long time by a problem. It is easy to abnormal. Halt. Does this mean that the treatment program that instructor Gu received in the psychiatric hospital can also be applied to Merlin? Lin Chia's eyes gradually lit up. I am looking for you, nor am I here to make the teacher guilty after all. This matter has nothing to do with you. It is Gu instructor himself who drilled the bull. We night watchmen, unlike other professions, have too many secrets to live long in an outside psychiatric hospital, so we'll ask the instructor to go home and recuperate, and in a couple of days he'll probably have to go back to camp and pack up and go home, and if you do, absolutely, never talk to him about the real world again. No, if you see him, just walk around and don't let him see you. Got it? Lin Seven Knights blinked his eyes, clever nod, understand. Well, go back to training. Hong instructor's heart was finally put down, waved and turned to leave. Only left Lin Seven Knights standing in place to Hong instructor go far, his mouth cannot control the upward. I need to ask you something. After returning to the shooting range, Lin Seven Knights looked at Bailey Fat and Chao Yuan. Serious opening. 2 people look at each other in doubt. What is it? These 2 days if you see instructor Gu in the camp, you must tell me in time. Why? Chao Yuan could not help asking. I want to ask him something. Bailey Pang meditate for a moment. Is it important? It's important. Okay, I'm gonna take care of that. Bailey Fat patted his chest, pulled out 3 Rolexes from his pocket, held them high, then took a deep breath and loudly said to the other recruits training at the shooting range. Brothers, I would like to ask you one thing. Chapter 152, I am sick. The gate of the training camp. A man dressed in civilian clothes and wearing a cap sneaked into the door, looking around warily and silently pulling up his mask to completely cover his face. Who are you? Left at the door of the instructor questioned. The man took out a certificate from his pocket, handed it to the instructor, pulled down a corner of his mask and whispered. It's me. Regular? The drill sergeant's eyes widened. How did you dress like this? Gu instructor sighed, not seen for 2 months, his face is full of haggard. I was in the hospital for a while and came back to get some things. But the doctor ordered me not to see anyone directly related to my illness. Anyway, I'd better not be recognized. The instructor nodded. You quickly go in, take out, and now the new recruits should eat in the canteen. You can go far. Yes. Gu instructor nodded, covered his face again and ran to the instructor dormitory area like a gust of wind. As the instructor at the door said, now the recruits are basically eating in the canteen, there is basically no one in the training camp and occasionally a few recruits pass by. And they are not the person Gu instructors do not want to see. It always seemed to him that the passing recruits were looking at him strangely. Gu instructor shook his head. Think is how much to think. After all, they are wrapped up like this. There are few people can recognize who they are. Even if these people recognize it, it shouldn't matter much. Instructor Gu is back. A recruit carefully identified Gu instructor for a long time, then took a deep breath and shouted at the top of his voice. After his voice sounded, a series of voices immediately sounded in the distance, like a beacon that continued to the direction of the canteen. Gu instructor is back. At the entrance to the instructor's quarters. Found the instructor at the entrance of the instructor dormitory. Report. At the entrance to the instructor's quarters. Found target instructor. Instructor Gu. A dish? Shit, what the fuck? A sense of foreboding suddenly poured into Gu instructor's mind. He took off. He's east of the training ground. He crossed the training field. He's at the special training facility. He's targeting the office area. Report. He's targeting the office area. The new recruits everywhere are like a human form from the radar. Real-time report. Gu instructor's position. Gu instructor almost a mouthful of old blood spray out. He never dreamed he came back to get something so out of this battle. On the road ahead, a figure quickly darted past, steadily intercepted in front of Gu instructor. See the bearer. Gu instructor's heart click a sound. Lin 7 Knights coughed too, waving hands to Gu instructor, smiling. Gu instructor, long time no see. Long time no see? Fuck you. Gu instructors resist the impulse to run. How to say that he is also an instructor, which have to see their own soldiers also fled the truth since has met, it is hard on the scalp. What can I do for you? He forced himself to calm down and speak slowly. She, I was just wondering, what did the doctor say to you? Lin 7 Knights scratched his head. That is, how did he treat you? Gu instructor mouth a smoke. The original disease of their things, they already know it. Oh shit, that's so stupid. It's not a big deal. Just a few words, some pills, a little relaxation and you're good. Gu instructor is vague. How was it enlightened? What medicine to take? Instructor Gu. Are you sick? He couldn't stop swearing. Lin Chia solemnly thought for a moment, nodded. Yes, I have. Instructor Gu, in fact, after I put forward that question, I myself also agonized over it, couldn't sleep at night, my mental state was getting worse and worse, and sometimes the whole person was in a trance. Lin Chia support forehead, some horse opening. I think I may also. Are you sick too? Gu instructor moved. So, I was wondering how you recovered. Maybe can work for me too. Gu instructor silence, looked at Lin 7 Knights for a long time, helpless sigh. Just, you come with me. Lin 7 Knights' eyes emerge a touch of joy, followed Gu instructor into the office. About 20 minutes later, Lin Chia walked out of the office building feeling satisfied. At last you got it. The asylum of the gods. Halt. Don't run. Ah ha ha ha. Squidward. Squidward. You can't catch me. Ha ha ha. Crazy. Crazy. Stop right there. Jellyfish. What a big jellyfish. Squidward, let's go catch jellyfish. Grab a shit. Don't run away. Ouch, grandchild, you can run slowly, don't fall. In the courtyard, Nix is sitting leisurely in a rocking chair, while watching the pink starfish running around the world and the tired Li Yifei, while showing a kind smile. Li Yifei gritted his teeth, used his milk strength, ran all the way to the pink starfish, let out a loud roar and poked the tranquilizer into its body. The pink starfish's body shakes, his pace slows down, and he eventually falls to the ground, transforming himself back into Merlin. Li Yifei also sat on the ground, looking at the sky above his head without love, gasping for breath. Then a figure in a white coat appeared in front of him. Li Yifei wronged tears to come out. He grabbed Lin Chia's coat corner, crying up. 7 Knights. This job is really not human. Now between washing and cooking, coaxing Nix, feeding her meds and racing this sick starfish. I'm so hard. Lin Chia lowered his head, patted his shoulder. Li Yifei, you have to be strong. After all, you're not human. You're a basilisk. Li Yifei, $. So, when are you bringing in the next caregiver? It's just me, I really can't survive. It might take some time. Lin 7 Knights scratched his head. After all, I am still in the training camp and cannot touch other mysteries. Lin had seen it 7 nights before, and the cells below the dean's room could only hold the mysteries from myth or legend, and the human souls killed by him would not be absorbed, let alone become nurses. Li Yifei's eyes suddenly lost hope for life. Lin Chia lifted him up on the ground and said, "Nothing, go to prepare lunch. I'm gonna go talk to Merlin."